financially and militarily, definitely Israel can go wage a war for wars. And also Prime Minister Netanyahu's credibility has increased, the popularity. So this was a clear message to Iran that after Hezbollah and after Beirut, the next target will be Iran. But what happened to Gaza is a mass murder, capital punishment for the whole population. Country has the leverage now to impose a ceasefire on Israel. The French foreign minister was here. Revolutionary Guards Corps have been infiltrated by the Mossad or the Israeli intelligence. This is like no argument there.
A ground offensive into Lebanon by Israel. Iran's threat of a ballistic missile attack into Israel. What's really happening, and how is West Asia now going to look like with the escalation that we are seeing? To discuss all this and more, I'm being joined by Yeghia Tashijan, who is a West Asia expert from Isam Fares Institute based in Beirut in Lebanon. Yeghia, thank you so much for joining us here on India Today Global. I hope you're safe.
Thank you for the invitation. Yes, thank you.
Beginning with what's happening right now on the ground, it does seem like this could be a repeat of the 80s or even 2006. With the ground offensive, according to you, what is it that Israel is planning on doing? Do they intend to stay, or do they intend to just go in, do their offensive, carry out the operation, and come out?
Thank you. If we will make a quick comparison of the ground invasion in 2006, Israel's strategic objective back then was to destroy Hezbollah, to maintain ground, and also to destroy the tunnels. Back then, there were few tunnels. This failed. Even though South Lebanon was razed to the ground, southern Beirut was bombed heavily. However, Israel failed and it withdrew, and then the UN Security Council passed Resolution 1701, which called for the deployment of the UN forces, the Lebanese army, and then Hezbollah that should withdraw from the below the Litani river. The issue is that sometimes the media is forgetting to report it, that from 2006 until 2024, Israelis violated almost 30,000 times our air sovereignty. I mean, like every time, whenever they would bomb, for example, Syria, they were passing via Lebanon, and no one is talking. But anyway, so now the main objective of Israel, at least let's say the military institutions, the army, they are saying that their main objective is to destroy the tunnels, to destroy Hezbollah's capabilities, to send ballistic missiles, small and medium range missiles from South Lebanon. So to create somehow 5 to 10 kilometers a buffer zone in South Lebanon. This, of course, needs a lot of human resources. So basically, we are talking about at least 10,000 soldiers and special forces to maintain order in the South Lebanon, and also to destroy the tunnel. So this will take time. However, the problem is that also that I have a lot of concern is that the right-wing movement in Israel, the settlement movements, they published newspaper articles and maps calling for the colonization of South Lebanon and settling it with settlers and Jews from Europe. This was published yesterday, and also there was an article by the Jerusalem Post asking whether Lebanon is another promised land to Israel. So these are some concerns that also we have to shed light on it, that irrespective of the military objective of the army and the government, but also it seems that other political parties in the coalition cabinet, they also have colonial projects in South Lebanon.
Now, looking at the larger picture and zooming out a little, we do know that there has been a lot of a hit that Hezbollah has taken. We will talk about whether if Hezbollah 2.0, which Rohan Gunaratne and experts such as him are talking about, would be leaner, would be stronger, and will come out after regrouping. But before that, let's just go to the larger picture and zoom out a little. We're looking at a seven-front war over here. Now, Israel has not just gone into Lebanon, it has also now gone into Syria. It is looking at Iraq, it's looking at Iran, and Hamas, of course, when it comes to Gaza and West Bank. So explain, Yeghia, to us this seven-front war that one can see or that one can anticipate should Israel continue its ground offensive and other offensives in the region.
Of course, when Hamas engaged in October 7 operation, I mean, this is also a lot of questions that still we don't have answer, whether this operation was coordinated with the so-called, let's say, axis of resistance with Iran, with Hezbollah, because I remember there were a lot of speculations that Hezbollah was not aware of this operation and it was caught in surprise. And then it was forced actually to be involved and open a new front to help Hamas in Gaza. And then we also saw the Iraqi militias, the Houthis being involved. So it was a full war of the Axis resistance against Israel. Because also, from the perspective of Axis resistance and Hezbollah and Iran, the destruction of Hamas means that after that, Israel will try to immerse all its force and power against Hezbollah because Hamas was the strongest, let's say, force in Palestine. And after that, Israel can put all its energy on Hezbollah. Therefore, Iran was going to be encircled and isolated in the region. And let's not forget that Hamas is a Sunni organization, while Hezbollah is a Shia Muslim organization based on the revolutionary ideas of the Iranian regime. And Hezbollah, I can say, is the successful project of Iran to export its revolutionary ideas. And it's very strong when it comes to power projection. So without Hezbollah, Iran would be weakened, but without Hamas, Iran would not be weakened because there are other cards Iran can play in the region, other non-state actors. So Hezbollah is very important for Iran. This is why I think that Iran has to be involved in this war because the current Iranian reformist administration are trying to disengage from the current war, but Netanyahu's speech in the UN General Assembly, he literally also threatened Tehran, saying that after Beirut, Tehran is like, or the Iranian government is dictatorial regime, it is oppressing the minorities and so forth. So this was a clear message to Iran that after Hezbollah and after Beirut, the next target will be Iran. So it's much better from their perspective maybe to be involved directly in this war and deter Israel and to trigger a regional war so that attract more diplomatic pressure by the Western countries so that they engage in a ceasefire. Though this is maybe wishful thinking, still we are not sure, given the US are involved. I mean, they are maybe busy in the presidential elections. They don't want to engage directly in the war, but the coming days, I think, will show which direction we are heading.
We'll go through the map because that's very important for our viewers to understand. A lot of people don't understand what this West Asia crisis is and the countries involved. But before we take our viewers through the map, because you mentioned Iran and the need for Iran to come in, but the reluctance. Now, Lebanese Shia cleric Muhammad Ali al-Husseini, in a TV interview, has come out and said that Iranians had sold him out. And then there are reports that are coming in that there could be an Iranian mole in the killing of Hassan Nasrallah. What's the conversation that you're picking up on Iran's role or an insider's job in getting Hassan Nasrallah killed by the Israelis?
Definitely, Iran's Revolutionary Guards Corps have been infiltrated by the Mossad or the Israeli intelligence. This is like no argument there. It has been deeply infiltrated, starting from Haniyeh's assassination in Tehran, and I mean the assassination of the top Hezbollah leaders until, of course, the Secretary General, the martyr of Sayyid Hassan Nasrallah. let's not also forget that Hezbollah's expansion to Syria, involvement in the Syrian war, also exposed because there were a lot of volunteers joined, and I'm sure that some of these volunteers were recruited also by the American or the Israeli intelligence. So not just Iran, but also Hezbollah. So the more Hezbollah extended in the region, the more it was vulnerable to be penetrated by the Israeli or American, let's say, intelligence. Definitely, this is what I say. However, the question is here also is the following: that let's say that the assumption is that Iran is engaging in a bilateral negotiation with the Americans to secure a nuclear deal, but Israel is against this deal. So basically, the Americans cannot agree on something where Israel is against. So Iran is literally negotiating on something which is that deal. So if you will literally, let's say, abandon your best project, which is Hezbollah, what you will gain in return? This is something that I don't have the answer still. That is really the Iranians, because today also the Iranian Foreign Ministry, they said that we want to revive the JCPOA and so forth. Okay, but in return, what they will get? This is a question that this is why I doubt that Iran has sold or abandoned Hezbollah. Maybe Iran is hesitant not to retaliate because Iran is also afraid of Israeli direct attack. Let's not forget that Iran is a diverse society. We have minorities, the Azeris, the Baloch, the Kurds, so Iran can explode also from within.
That's very, very interesting. The politics of Iran from within also is a major reason why we are seeing an Iranian dilemma, that Iran is looking reluctant. But, Yeghia, the fact that we always thought that Israel's deterrence comes from the fact that now we're talking about the map, so let's pull out the map. All these resistance groups that are there in various parts of West Asia, that they will all come together should Israel show the kind of aggression it has shown in the recent past. And then they started with Gaza, and then they moved to West Bank, and then to Lebanon, then Yemen, now Syria. But there has been no resistance. So it just seems like there is no cohesion within the region to act together and ensure that this comes to an end, because it certainly is not happening because if the international community comes and asks Israel for a ceasefire, that's certainly not happening.
There are two options here. Either they have been exhausted and this was the maximum they can do, or actually their communication meals have been neutralized. Let's not forget that Israel has technological superiority. So when it comes to cybersecurity attacks, for example, the explosion of the pagers and other communication means, it was something new because I'm not expert when it comes to cybersecurity. However, this also means that such organizations, whether when it comes, let's call it axis of resistance or whatever we like to call it, it seems they have to think twice when it comes to communication, when it comes to coordinating, command coordination, all these military issues. And also there was the question that people starting asking question, who have been infiltrated? Who is the spy? Where is the mole? Which organization? So there was maybe this is also assumption that some organizations maybe started to become suspicious from others, because still I'm sure there was internal assessments even within Hezbollah, within Iran, maybe with other organizations, but also let's not forget, for example, Syria. The Assad government is taking very neutral stance, despite that the Iranians and the Hezbollah they invested when it comes to human resource, financial resource, military resource in Syria, but the Assad regime is silent. And I assume this is because of the Russian pressure, because the Russians, they don't want Syria to get involved. And this is why actually yesterday, Syria's president's brother, Maher al-Assad, was targeted, or there was assassination attempt by the Israelis against him. Maybe this was a message by the Israelis to the Syrian that they aside. And maybe just a question, because you also raised when it comes to Hezbollah, definitely what happened was a heavy blow and recovering. I mean, For me, irrespective of someone's political opinion to Hassan Nasrallah, whether I agree with him or I disagree with him, he was a charismatic leader. And there will be definitely a power vacuum. And it's very difficult for a short period of time, Hezbollah to recover. Yes, it is ideological organization and it's a system that always it recycles itself. I mean, this is the way of life of
Exactly, it
guerrilla and
always
underground
recycles
movements.
itself.
Yes, but Hassan Nasrallah was someone that even if you disliked him, you would hear his analysis just in to analyze things because he was very charismatic and he was sometimes pragmatic also. And now a lot of people and experts are asking what kind of Hezbollah will emerge after this war or even after the assassination. We don't know. Will it be a more radical Hezbollah? Will it be maybe a more pragmatic Hezbollah? So these are questions that still we don't know. And let's not forget that the population, the Shia community, still are in shock. I mean, they were the main active religious community. They held most of the key institutions in the government, and now literally most of the Shia population they have been refugees. This is why I'm saying that in Lebanon now this is not the time of revenge. We have to support each other irrespective of our political opinions because my concern is that actually Israel may trigger the weakest. Lebanon is very vulnerable when it comes to sectarian issues, civil war. We have a lot of civil war in our history. So we have to be very careful. Now it is the time of solidarity, and later we can talk about accountability.
Now, time for solidarity, later accountability. Just going back to the map, Yeghia. We're looking at Israel. They first went into Gaza, then into West Bank, now into Lebanon, Yemen, Syria. Are we also looking at the Houthis of rebel to a certain extent have been attacked? The port area has been attacked. But are we looking at a larger picture over here where they could then go to Iran as well and open up, and Iraq, and open up all fronts? Does Israel have the capability and the arsenal, the ammunition and weapons required to last that long, to sustain themselves?
Yes, because as long as the Americans are supporting Israel financially and militarily, definitely Israel can go wage a war for wars. And also Prime Minister Netanyahu's credibility has increased the popularity. And what also I'm afraid that actually um, Israel would resolve the Palestinian question at the expense of the Lebanese. This is I'm very conscious. I mean, Gaza, we witnessed I don't know, some people call it genocide. For me, it was like mass murder. Irrespective, I'm not justifying what Hamas has done, definitely, but what happened to Gaza is a mass murder, capital punishment for the whole population. And what will happen if Israel does the same in West Bank? I mean, the Arab League still haven't convened the summit for Lebanon, for God's sake. Are we an Arab country or not? Sometimes I'm asking, like, I mean, the least thing that the Arabs can do now is to come to Lebanon and convene emergency summit in Beirut. This is at least a symbolic something. I'm not asking for military support or anything, just a symbolic. This is something symbolic. But also there are a lot of issues that I'm asking, like raising questions. For example, other regional or great powers are also silent. Russia, China.
Yeghia, you think they can get involved?
I don't think so, but if Iran directly gets involved, they have to be involved because losing Iran, especially, let's not forget, Iran is important when it comes to the Belt and Road Initiative and also for the international North-South trade corridor. I mean, I'm writing a book chapter about this, that Iran is very important for India and China. So instability in Iran, it would literally destabilize the whole geoeconomic fabric of Eurasia. I mean, the Northern Corridor is not functioning due to the sanctions on Russia. So Iran and South Caucasus, and to some extent the Middle East, are other alternative trade routes between Europe, India, and China. So destabilization will literally create chaos, economic chaos in Eurasia.
If there is an attack by Iran, do you think Israel's the whole focus will be diverted to Iran rather than Lebanon?
In
Or
Arabic,
are they
we have
going
a
to
saying, we
manage
say
both
that if
fronts?
something doesn't get bigger, it doesn't get smaller. And there is assumption that if a regional war is triggered, maybe the European countries or international, what is left of the international community will try to pressure Israel. Okay, let's do a ceasefire and close the issue. But I think Iran's retaliation will be also symbolic because a few minutes ago, the New York Times already exposed the locations of where the ballistic missiles were going to be launched, north of Tel Aviv, some military bases. So if the Israelis are aware where they will launch, it's easy to intercept the missiles. So I think the Israelis will also target some military bases in Iran, but I'm not sure the Iranians will continue retaliation. Maybe they will do just tactical, symbolic retaliation because, as I said, they don't want to get involved because they know that they are vulnerable. At the same time, they don't want to lose Hezbollah, so they are also like stuck into difficult options.
Okay, that's the big Iranian dilemma over here. My final question to you: on the ground, how's the situation? We're looking at Lebanon facing a massive humanitarian crisis, people going to the border, but from Lebanon to Syria, which means that no place is safe for any Lebanese.
This is my concern that, irrespective of what the Israeli side is saying, that there will be a so-called limited invasion. And, it's also like, I mean, what's the difference between limited invasion and the full-scale invasion? For me, every meter of my fatherland is a sacred territory, even if it's 1 meter. This is why, irrespective, this should be, of course, like a ceasefire is the only solution. But the question is that I'm not sure that any country has the leverage now to impose a ceasefire on Israel. The French foreign minister was here. I'm not sure what was the outcome, but definitely it was a failed deal because the Israelis were against. The Americans, they gave a green light, it seems, as long as it would be a limited operation. That is, the Israeli forces would not cross maybe the Litani River and so on. But Hezbollah will fight because also let's not forget that Hezbollah, again, irrespective of our position, Hezbollah is ideological guerrilla movement. And for them, also for those people, irrespective who is their leader on the ground, maybe they are not aware that who is their leader now. Maybe some fighters, they are not aware if Hassan Nasrallah has been assassinated. They want to fight because they also believe that they are facing existential crisis. Their community is facing existential threat by Israel, who literally has designs to occupy South Lebanon. So it will be like either I die or I kill.
Is the parliament of a different view in Lebanon than the Hezbollah? Because there are Hezbollah members in parliament as well.
There
But
are
is the
Hezbollah
but
representatives.
politically, is it different? Are they okay with what's happening?
Definitely. I mean, there are voices, some voices, of course, in the parliament because it is like Lebanese political dynamics is very, very diverse. Some political parties, of course, are supporting Hezbollah and the resistance. Others are silent, and others are saying that no, this was a wrong war and we should not have engaged. But everyone is silent because now, as I said, it is not the time to publicly criticize the resistance who is fighting the Israeli possible aggression, maybe in this few minutes. Also, let's not forget that at least there is a minimum responsibility of the Lebanese parliament. We don't have a president. It has been more than 1.5 years and maybe more. Even sometimes I forgot counting the days and the months. At least a sense of patriotic responsibility now to elect the president, where it should be according to the oral agreement in Lebanon. We say al-Misa, there should be a Christian or a Maronite president. Now it is the time. Yesterday, the prime minister, he said that we have to, after a ceasefire, we have to elect a president. My personal opinion is that after a ceasefire, we will not elect, we will be imposed. President will be imposed on us. Now it is the time to elect a president so that someone, head of state, to negotiate a possible ceasefire with the international community and Israel. Otherwise, it is very late.
Yeghia Tashijan, thank you so much for joining us here.